All right.
So,
Good afternoon, good night, and good morning for everybody that's gonna watch this broadcast after or anytime after this broadcasting. And we are starting again once more our our study of spiritism. And as we did last week, we're gonna continue talk about the basis of spiritism, some origins, and some historical facts from the spiritism. And yeah, now today we have Marta,
Hello.
Lindalva,
hello.
and Richard.
Hi there.
So, Lindalva, as you always do, could you please make the prayer for us, initial prayer?
Of course. So will. So let's start by thanking our Master Jesus for the opportunity we have been granted for this study, for learning, and more about our lives, the life that we have now as incarnated spirits, and preparing ourselves for the life that continues as spirits, since we are all on this earth for a short period of time, and certain that at any time we can be called to the world of spirits again. And during this study, we learn more about the life that continues, the life that never ends, about the mercy of God for all of us, for all the opportunities that we receive in order to progress, to evolve, and to become better human beings. And so we ask for inspiration from our spiritual brothers and sisters who are assisting us during this study, so that we can understand it the best way we can and can make use of it during our daily lives while we are here. We thank all of those in spirit who are assisting us, who are helping us during this time. And we ask our Master Jesus to protect and guide us during this time. And so, as we prepare ourselves to begin this meeting, thank you.
Yeah, let's continue from the last presentation. So last week we stopped at the talking about the Franz Anton Mesmer, which was one of the many something wrong with no. Yeah, today we're gonna talk a little bit Allan Kardec, which it's not a precursor, but is a it's the one that codificates the doctrine, and we need to talk a little bit about him. We know there are a lot of information. Allan Kardec it's a great human being and also a great spirit, which has a lot of skills and a lot of potentialities, which is for us is someone very very special. Not just because he's the uh, the codificator of the spirit doctrine, but because he was, as a human being, a great man, and has contributed a lot for the civilization, and also for all the teachings around the world, mainly in France. So we separate something to talk about a little bit about Kardec. So everybody knows right now. If doesn't know, if you don't know, you're gonna start to know from now on that his name is Hippolyte Léon Denisard Rivail. He's a French person, better known by his pen name Allan Kardec. Was born in Lyon on October 4th, 1804, into an old family of Bourg-en-Bresse, which for many generations had been honorably distinguished in the magistracy and at the bar. His father, like his grandfather, was an attorney of good standing and high character. His mother, who was remarkably beautiful, accomplished, elegant, and amiable, was the object on his part of a profound and worshipping affection that remained unchanged throughout his entire life. So this is a little bit Kardec parents and relatives. So his father, like his grandfather, was attorney, a lawman, and a good standing, high character. This is something that we need to highlight over here, because the Spiritism was something out of the normal life in that time, because everybody in France and around the world in 19th century was Catholic or Protestant or any other gospel religion, derived from the Catholic Church. And everything that was out of this circuit was really complicated. So at that time, we need to understand that the Catholic Church has a lot of power over the civilization, over the population. And we need to bear in mind that to break this kind of chain was really, really difficult. Not just because it was a religion, but it was a way of life. So if you don't go to the church, you're not blessed, and you're going to have a problem with your social relations. Probably someone is not going to receive you at the house, or probably you're going to have problems with the jobs and stuff like that. And if you study about the Kardec, you're going to see that many of his friends just left and turned their back to him, just because he started to study Spiritism. It's not. This is not new. In Brazil, many of the Spiritists also had this problem with the family, with the society, with the friends, and most of them experienced the cold feeling from the people around them. And in the end of the day, it was a lonely battle, just to talk about Spiritism and study. It was not easy at that time. And we can also imagine how hard was for Kardec, son and grandson of attorneys. So all of them men of law, and that could create a lot of obstacles for him to study something that would say esoteric. And if you go a little bit more further, he was educated at institution of Pestalozzi in Yverdon, it's a canton de Vaud. He acquired at the early age the habit of investigation and the freedom of thought of which his later life was destined to furnish so striking an example. Endowed by nature with a passion for teaching, he devoted himself from the age of 14 to aiding the studies of those who his shallow school fellows who were less advanced than himself. He was so fond of botany that he would often spend an entire day in the mountains, 20 or 30 miles, with a backpack in search of specimens for his herbarium. Another important thing we need to highlight is that Pestalozzi has a philosophy at that time to cheating without any punishment or reward. His Pestalozzi's way of teaching was based only on the self-interest in learning and growing and getting better every day. So it's different from the current way of teaching that everything is based on punishment or reward. If you get good grades, you are reward. If you don't get the good grades, you are punished in some way. So this is for Pestalozzi was unacceptable. So Kardec was educated on that base and the base of the freedom of thoughts. This is very important, and it's one detail that we need to keep in mind all the time, because he was educated in a way that he could thinking about anything and question everything, not even the God existence and the way he rules, the way God rules the earth. It's not a problem to question. Uh, of course, Kardec was showing a lot of respect for every spirit that gave him answers, and but he never keep himself out of questions. He was always questioning everything. So the constructions, the building of Kardec life was based since the very early days was based in freedom of thought and thinking about out of the box. So that's why we got this magnificent scholar and intelligent person. And another thing that I'd like to talk about is on the very early days of life, and at 14, he was aiding another students that has problem to follow or were less advanced. So he was showing a charity characteristic profile which followed him for the entire life. Any question? Any comments?
I think that just one comment, Andre, because about the word you have just mentioned, he was already charitable when he was very young, because he was helping the students who had difficulties, and that I think it's very important for us to understand that being charitable, is independent even of belief, because at that time he didn't know all of these that he found out. um, and so but he was already doing uh, doing what was he was already a good man, a good spirit in his own character. He was already practicing charity, and and so I think it's very important that it is an add on for us who already understand and believe in God, and for us who are spiritists, we have already. It's not just a belief anymore. We know God exists, but to be good, anyone can be good, whether they believe in God or not.
Yeah, independent of any faith, any creed, we can do the good things and charity. It's good to hear that, and it's very important what you said, that at that time Kardec has no religion. He was materialist, because everybody could think Kardec was uh, someone attached to the religion, but he was not. Uh, Even he didn't believe in anything after that, and anything above the man, because he was a naturalist and also a scientist. At that time, the science was very detached from religion, and this is going to be the point of the break even for Kardec, when he found in the Spiritism the connection between the religion and the science. So when he realized that the science and the religion were together, he started to believe more and study more and go deep on the spiritism. And for everybody that goes and study spiritism more and more, understand that the science is very important for spiritism. Also, the spiritism is very important for the science, because one is completing each other and filling the gaps that we cannot find an answer at the spiritism. We can go to the science. And there is a famous phrase from Allan Kardec that says, if what I'm saying is against the science, please stick with the science, and forget me. So at that time, Kardec was a young person, and before he started to get in touch with the spiritism and the spiritists and the spiritists, he was a materialist man. He didn't believe in anything beyond the science. So this is very important. And anyway, he was a materialist and charity person.
Yeah, and also I think it's important to mention that spiritism, as spiritism um, is not a religion as organized religion. Anyone can study spiritism. You don't need to be, and no one needs to become a spiritist or to say that they are a spiritist to study spiritism, because the teachings are out there for anyone to get hold of and to study and to come to their own conclusions or not. Um, and I think that what you have just said about the science, that spiritism works with side by side with science, that there is no such a thing as blind faith in Spiritism. um, everything we study has gone through a lot of research and study and more research and more study, so that there isn't doubt left. And also, by saying that, I also have to mention that we also need to go through the to find safe channels, because there are also uh, things, studies or books that people write, and if they don't follow the right procedures, that you could be. I heard, I was heard about this by one of the speakers in Brazil, when he was talking about um, spiritist spiritist books from mediums that have written by mediums who haven't really followed the right procedures, or to make sure that the everything that they are writing is what it is. And so, but like everything, we do need to sort of question, as you've just said. We need to question, and we have the very reliable mediums, the books that have received the books that we study. So it's important to keep that to mind, that we need to look for reliable sources as well.
Yeah, open a brackets to this comment, Lindalva. I know we are not talking about this kind of behavior, but some of the spiritists around the world, and mainly in Brazil, try to keep the spiritism under the some kind of a ball or something like that, because we are spirits that reincarnated a long time in the Catholic Church. So when we come to this incarnation right now, the current incarnation, we brought a lot of behaviors
Mm.
from the Catholic Church. So for some spiritists around the world, and many in Brazil, we need to have a kind of a graduation, information, or something, or time of spiritist house to learn or to study the spiritism. Otherwise, it's not recognized as a spiritist. So
Mm.
this is a mistake. Everybody is able to study the spiritism. Everybody is able to understand and take conclusions. We are not here giving the final word. As Kardec said, I'm not giving the final word. Everything is open for learning a little bit more and more and more, as there's no limit for learning. So it's very interesting to talk about that, because some people feel afraid of learning or talk about the spiritism, because they think they are talking something wrong, or making some mistake. This is not real. It's not true, because as we are not, the spiritism is not a religion, a normal or common religion. We are a philosophy, science, and religion together. We are open for everybody to learn, to talk about, to give the opinion, to questions, which is very important for everybody. Another thing is, we are spirits, very old spirits. So as Emmanuel said once, the youngest spirits in the earth, it's 10,000 years of age. So we had a lot of many reincarnations, and I would be not surprised if someone younger people or a child start to talk about the spiritism like a doctor, because I know his his background maybe it's more in it's massive, more than mine and all the spiritists around the world. I sometimes I wonder when Chico reincarnates again, and when Emmanuel comes to the earth, some people say Emmanuel is already reincarnated, and this person is going to bring a lot of information and knowledge that we cannot even imagine. So I'll be not surprised if a young person that never had the contact with the spiritism in this incarnation will be able to talk about anything or much more than we ever know.
So, so
So changing this, right? Hippolyte Leon work. So, as we said, Allan Kardec was not just a spiritist guy. He has a lot of jobs for the French society, and he had, as the text says, some of the numerous educational works he published were a plan for improvement of public instruction, which he submitted on 1828 to the French Legislative Chamber, which praised it highly book, but took no actions with regard to it. A course of practical and theoretical arithmetic on the Pestalozzian system for the use of teachers and mothers, 1829, a classical grammar of French tongue, a manual for the use of candidates of examination in the public schools with explanatory solutions of various problems of arithmetic and geometry, 1848, normal dictations for the examinations of the Hotel de Ville and the Sorbonne, with special dictations on orthographic difficulties, 1849. These works were highly regarded at the time of their publication and are still used in many French schools. The author continued to produce new editions of some of them at the time of his death. And why we put those work over here? Just to, because Kardec start to get contact with the spirits at the age of 50. So before that, Kardec has a life, a normal life as any one of us. He was not the kind of avatar or a special person or a messianic person that came with a high level mission. We know he had the mission, but he was not. He was a common person. He was a normal man that used to study, work, and publish his work, and also to know that his work is still on. So many of those jobs is still working. So many of others authors is using his job and republishing and making new editions, but the base is from Hippolyte Leon. So just to highlight that sometimes people think the spiritists like Chico Xavier or Divaldo Franco, they had a life dedicated to spiritism. Which is not true. Everybody has a normal life, has to work, make money, eat, and pay all the bills for traveling, and because the spiritism is not a payable role. So everybody that is working for spiritism is for charity, and has not any money back or payment for that. And this started with Kardec, and from that time on, all the person that wants to contribute to the spiritism must do that for free, and all the job, all the dedications, all the work must be for free and for charge, of course. And so this is other reason why Hippolyte Leon didn't use his name for the Spiritism, and decided to use Allan Kardec as author, because he didn't want any money back for his work, his job, as Chico Xavier did the same, and Divaldo did the same. They didn't receive any penny for any job they did. So all the books, all the jobs, all the money from those works go straightly and directly to the charity.
I think that's a very good point you have just made, Andrea, because Spiritism has also this very significant difference about from the organized religions. No one has works for Spiritism. We are all volunteers. Whatever our roles may be, and you have mentioned the Chico Xavier and the Lords of Divaldo Franco, who are very great, who great mediums, Brazilian mediums. Everyone has, we all have got our jobs to maintain our lives. We don't leave. We don't use Spiritism as a way of earning a salary. We all have independent lives, and we don't make money doing what we are doing right now. We are all volunteers. And I think this also makes Spiritism special, because this is where we learn what is to be part of humanity, isn't it? How we need to contribute, to give contribution to make our societies and the world a better place. Because here we are volunteers, we are working mainly for ourselves as well, because we are learning how grateful it is to be able to give some of our time without thinking about earning any material resources, but we are earning a lot because we are learning. Everything we are learning is helping us during the whole of our lives here, and we are also understanding the natural processes of how we receive so much for free, and that we also need to learn to give for free some of that what which we receive.
The worker, when the worker is already the worker,
The job comes.
yes.
Yeah, there is a saying that's when the worker is ready, the job comes.
Yes.
So that's usual. We use that to define when the medium is ready to work. But anyway, we don't need, as we said before, we don't need to be a special person to study the spiritism. Everybody is able, everybody's eligible to study, to talk about the spiritism, and it's always welcome for everybody to talk about, make questions, even if we think there's silly questions, but it's not. Someone said, I don't know who said that, but it's better be a silly for 5 seconds than be stupid forever. So it's better to make a question right now and understand what happened, and then keep this question for forever, for a lifetime, and be stupid or dumb forever. So this is very important. Also, we need to understand that the spiritism was made by questions. The spirits book, it's just questions and answers. We're gonna see later. Let me change the slides.
When I begin to learn Spiritism, I believe nothing. And here I am now.
Sounds good. Many of us was not a believer in the
Yes.
beginning. So when we start to study spiritism and see that everything makes sense, so we start to believe, and also question, because many questions, many doubts come to our mind every day, and every time we open the books, and every time we talk about the spiritism, and many questions is raised. So we're going to talk about the spiritism itself, a name created by Allan Kardec at the beginning of codification to designate a new doctrine, which is a spiritualist, religious, and philosophical doctrine, established in France in the 850 by the French teacher, educational writer, and translator Hippolyte Léon de Nézarivé, born at 1804 and dead 1869. He wrote books on the nature, origin, and destiny of the spirits and their relations with the corporeal world under the pen name of Allan Kardec. The term Spiritism first appeared in Kardec's in 1857 book, the Spiritist book, French Le Livre des Esprits, which sought to distinguish Spiritism from spiritualism. Why this is very important? Many people could confuse Spiritism with occultism, esotericism, or spiritualism, which is not the same thing. Why is not the same thing? Because the new philosophy and the let's say the third I forgot the name right now, but the third revelation supposed to have a new name, as Kardec says on the introduction of and the preface of Spirit's book. So if we can go there, we can see Kardec saying for the new philosophy, we need a new name, just to make difference between the Spiritism and spiritualism. It's not, Kardec was not trying to make it better than the other, or make difference between one and other, just because one is better and the other one is worse. He was trying just to say, the Spiritism, it's a science, philosophy, and religion. It's not just manifestation. Manifestation of Spiritism can occur in any time, everywhere in the world, in any religion, any temple, any church, everywhere. But the Spiritism is going to study those phenomena in the science base, with the method. Why we call the Spiritism science? Because there is a method of study, there is a method of communication with the spirits, which can happen with this method or without this method, but we prefer to do with the method, we can say, we can use a very scientific method to talk to the spirits, and how we codificate this, and how we put all the questions together, and how we do these interactions between the spirits. It's I'm not sure if I'm clear, but the spiritualism is something that study the manifestations anywhere without the methods. So we can have spiritualism and manifestation and communication with the spirits and mediumship and phenomena wherever you go. But the spiritism is studying specifically the interaction with the spirit with a method.
And I was just thinking about the religious side of that we still call religious, isn't it? But I think that Spiritism without Jesus wouldn't be the same, isn't it? And that is why there is the side there is the side of Spiritism that is Christian, because we believe in God and in Jesus. And Kardec was the codifier of Spiritism. Kardec wasn't the person who created Spiritism. He was the person who has put all the questions together. And he, as we have learned until now, he was someone who studied a lot. He was a very intelligent person. He was always developing himself, isn't it? And we know from all these, he used to speak quite a few languages. He did so much while he was with us. And so when I sort of when I think about Spiritism, like in all the aspects of it, I think the gospel, it gives it, that I don't even know how to name it, but it sort of gives it that special side to it, because Jesus is one of the revelations, isn't it? When he's come to the world, he came to reveal the existence of God. And so we have to keep that in mind. Jesus reminds us all the time about that we are spirits, but we have been created. And that just the philosophy doesn't answer all the questions. That we also need to walk with Jesus. We need to live by the although it's not gonna happen in one incarnation, but we need to try to remind ourselves that Jesus is our guide.
It's our perfect model. As the spirits came and Kardec asked to the spirits, who is the most perfect model we need to follow in the earth? And the answer was very short. It's Jesus. So as you said, Lindalva, Jesus was the second revelation, and the Spiritism is the third. And we understand that everything that was not possible to say at the Jesus time was feasible to talk about when the Spiritism came out. And there is no the connection is very tight between Jesus and the Spiritism. because the Spiritism brings the hopes and the happiness, and also the strength to pass through all the trials and problems. That was Jesus used to do when he came at that time. He gave a lot of hope, forgiveness, and charity also. So this is the way the Spiritism is trying to. Spiritism is doing this way, but the Spiritists is like us. We are trying to follow this path and trying to get better every day to follow the path of Jesus. So, in with the revelation of the death doesn't exist, and we live, we are immortal. So that gave us kind of a hope and a kind of happiness that what we cannot do in this incarnation, we're gonna do another one. We're gonna have many chances to get better and improve our moral and our intellectual. So yeah, it's very the Spiritism is tied to Jesus all the time, and God also, of course.
And it's important say that we believe Jesus is Son of God. We are the same. We are
Yeah,
correct.
because we
Many
learned
people
something.
thinks
Yeah, that Spiritists they don't believe that Jesus is not the Son of God.
yes,
So it's a it's a it's a mistake. We believe in Jesus like everyone
yes.
is Jesus.
Separate
Yeah,
the
from the
human,
creation.
the spirits.
Yeah, it's not a special creation. He's the Son of God as
Yes,
everybody is. Yeah,
but Jesus
Um,
is Son of God.
as we are.
Yes,
I think that that was something when I found Spiritism that brought me a lot of consolation to know that Jesus was a son of God, but I am also a child of God. That I am not out of this of this creation. That I am also someone who has importance, who is loved, um, like Jesus was by God. And I think Jesus has actually um, taught us about that when he taught us to pray, because he didn't say my Father who art in heaven. He said our Father. So he was saying we are all his children. We are all part of his creation. And I think the Lord's Prayer to me, it's one of the greatest prayers that I've ever heard, because there it confirms, he gives us that confirmation. God is our Father, is not just his Father.
yes,
Which is very important to understand that the entire humanity is family, and
Exactly.
no matter where you are or which religion you believe or your creed, so
Or
everybody's.
no religion as well,
Yeah,
isn't it? Or no religion.
this is very sensitive feeling, because if everybody's believing that there is no war, that there will be no war, there will be no any kind of criminals, or because everybody is the same family, came from the same father all over the universe. Yeah, this is a very
Yeah.
important. It's time for the book. So
Okay.
I have the Living Spring. Do you have any?
Okay. I don't
Yeah.
have the living spring. I have our daily bread and the pathway to truth and life.
You choose.
It's up to you if you want to add the living spring. It's a beautiful book too. If you wanna, you are very welcome, Andre.
Uh,
But if we've already been speaking quite a lot, so it's up to you.
okay.
I mean, I mean, speaking in a way that's how you might be. If you're tired of like speaking, I can open. But if you want, you're very
So
welcome.
let's say I'm gonna read. You make the pray.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, that's fine.
All right. So the book Living Spring. It's the item 8. Attentive workers. But the one who always strives to be abide by the perfect law of freedom, who does not neglect uh, what he has heard, but does it, he will be blessed in all that he does. Above all else, disciples of the good news, those who really follow the Master, understand their responsibility and render sincere reverence to the law of liberty, knowing full well that they will reap what they have sown. They know that the judges are held accountable to the court. Administrator will answer for their duties. Workers will be responsible for their obligations. And now, all persons working for progress and order, for the light and the good in their own situation, persevere in making use of the abilities they have received from divine providence, attentive to the lessons of the truth, and devoted to the good works entrusted to them by the higher power of the earth. Characterized by such attitudes, Christ's collaborator, whether status persons or janitors, will be fulfilling their duties in the area in which they are to act and serve, as naturally they interacted with oxygens in the process of breathing. If they are in a supervisory positions, they do not wait for others to remind them about their responsibilities. If they are once being supervised, they do not need to be constantly told how to do their jobs. And of course, they will not expect the government to tell them it's time to fertilize the vegetables garden, nor will they expected degrees that require them to educate or improve themselves. By strengthening their own freedom to learn, to improve themselves, and to help others by means of total devotions to the worth endeavors that society has entrusted to them. Everything they do is blessed and begins to produce substantial prosperity and spiritual growth in their daily lives. Such followers of the gospel, such students of the Master, become attentive worker, entering in glorious silence and sublime ranks of the heavenly apostolate. So is what we say today about the workers that doesn't need to be reminded that the duties we need to do, we need to make everything happen, and put all the effort to create a better world and improve society, and to get better ourselves also. This is I think this is the message.
Yeah, it is a reminder that the the job is up to us, is ours, isn't it? If we all of us start doing our jobs well, we will make the world a better place. And so as we have Jesus as our model, we need to remind ourselves all the time, but also to be and also to understand that if we get it wrong today, that we have got tomorrow to try again. And you have already said, Andrea, that I don't know the message that you mentioned about Emmanuel, who said that who talked about the age of the spirits who are incarnated on earth. But then that tells us that we are, if we are still here, it's because we are trying over and over again. And that is what the love of
Yeah.
God for us is so great, because otherwise, if there was only two ways, uh, one way to heaven and another to hell, we would be all lost. But we are not created to lose ourselves. We were created to be happy, to find happiness, and to find a, a place of peace within ourselves, and that is what we are given through every incarnation, through the centuries,
Mm.
um, repeating and making mistakes and trying to correct things. So
I'm just
Yeah.
thinking, I wish I'm one of the young ones of 10,000 years old.
Yeah, we can imagine how much history we have, how many how massive is our background of knowledge and mistakes and also good things we did. So we are the best version uh, right now. Now our current reincarnations is the best version of all of them. So yeah, the job and the work is over there. Is all over the planet. So it's up to us to decide to do something, not just it could be a small thing or it could be a massive, huge, but we need to do something. We cannot just stop. Today we're trying to use an old uh, PC, an old laptop, and because this laptop was stopped for a long time, he was not working anymore. So if we stop and then we stuck in for some reason, we're gonna lose some skills and abilities. So we need to
yeah,
stay in
definitely.
movement
Yes,
all
that's
the
very
time.
good point. Very good point. So this is why we are studying, isn't it, all the time? Because this keeps us reminding ourselves all the time, this is what you need to be improving. Uh, we need to develop intellectually, but as well morally. We need to, and by develop ourselves morally, we need to remind ourselves that Jesus is the best model, is the best guide. So spiritism, by studying, we always remind ourselves of that.
It's a good thing with the laptop. It's like the laptop, like you put it to one side and the battery runs down and all the data's gone. You just got to put the battery in to get it going again.
That's
That's when
right.
you come back down.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the pray.
So let's thank our Master Jesus once again for all that we have learned about, reminded ourselves about the great man our brother Kardec was and is, and his mission that he came to accomplish today is guiding and helping us to remind ourselves that we are immortal, that we are all spirits. Whether we believe it or not doesn't make any difference. The same way that those of us who haven't been able to understand that there is no action without a reaction, there is no intelligent cause without an intelligent source. That is how it is. We don't change things by not believing in them. They are what they are. And Spiritism reminds us that we are in this world to find out about ourselves, about our immortality, so that it helps us to be more responsible for our choices. Because we know, as we have learned, to do unto others only that which we wish to be done unto us. We need every day to try to do better, because we know that every action there is a reaction. For every action there is a reaction. And if we want to be happy, we need to spread happiness. If we want to receive goodness, we need to be a source of goodness. As our Master Jesus has taught us during his life that he lived amongst us, always working to show us how we need to behave, the best way to behave, in order to have a conscience that is not filled with guilt. And so we thank our Father for making the sun shine for all the just and the unjust too, and thanking our Creator for his justice too, that is not applied to just some, but to all of us. And as we are coming to the end of this meeting today, with our hearts filled with joy for understanding that we are part of the human family, that we are all brothers and sisters, and that we need to learn to love one another as our Master Jesus has asked us to do. And so we ask your love, Lord, that your love may envelop our world everywhere, especially in those places where darkness persists in remaining, so that light can shine upon those places, and we and all of those who are experiencing hardship, they can find faith and strength to carry on with their lives, starting again as every day when we wake up, it is a new life, a new opportunity we are receiving. We thank you, Father, for all the blessings we have received this week. We ask that our week may be blessed, the week to come may be blessed, full of opportunities for understanding and to practice what we have learned today. Thank you so much. Amen.
All right.
Thank you, Andre.
Thank you. Sorry, I wasn't here for all the time.
That was very good. And I will see you see you tomorrow. But
Tomorrow and
Yes.
then next
Wait,
Wednesday.
um,
Yeah. All right.
Yes. I'll see
Thank
you next week
Cheers.
on Wednesday as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye. Good night.
Good recovery, Richard.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, Martha.
I'm only
Bye.
10,000 years old.
Yeah.